I was a working photographer, covering sort of commercial and doing wedding photography down here, landscape photography, so I was out in the landscape a lot. Active, outgoing, social person in the early 50s, running a small business in Penzance. Well, it first started, a couple of years ago when I misjudged a small step and I tripped over and knocked my front teeth out. I didn't know it was related to this, but looking back on it, I'm kind of aware that there was a slight sort of sensation of being just very vaguely dizzy. It's almost like you'd had half a pint, which used to come and go. But then in October 2016, over that month, I became really quite unbalanced, and I thought it might be my ears. But I was walking around during the day as if I'd been drinking, and from that went to the doctors. They quite quickly sort of ascertained it wasn't my ears, and then I was up to Trillis for brain scans, and from there they diagnosed multiple sclerosis, primary progressive multiple sclerosis. The prognosis, there was no cure and no medication either. There's new medication just coming onto the market at the moment which will alleviate symptoms and maybe slow the progress of it down. It's a neurological disease which affects my brain and my spinal cord, and I'm getting lesions on my brain and on my spinal cord, and that is making my sort of ability to stand up, talk, my speech is becoming slurry, and see. Fairly quickly I was losing the ability to stand up properly without a stick. So the doctor said that I should think about going on employment support allowance, which was quite a big deal in itself, because it was a sort of recognition that I wasn't able to support myself alone. So went up to the job centre and started claiming employment support allowance. Beginning of 2017, I put an announcement on my webpage that I was had become ill and was not going to be able to do as much work as I had done before. After a few months on employment and support allowance, I had a letter from the Department of Work and Pensions saying that they wanted me to be assessed to ascertain how healthy I was, and until then I would have my benefits reduced. This is in February 2017. I thought from the assessment it would be a formality. I have primary progressive multiple sclerosis. I'm really not very well, so I presumed that it was a formality. I would be deemed fit enough to be in the work group. There's two groups. There's a work group for people who are deemed able to work but need support, and I thought I would be in that group. I then waited for another couple of months, not hearing anything, and when I made inquiries they hadn't even looked at my assessment from earlier on in 2017, and they came back to me the following day saying that I'd scored 0 points and there was nothing wrong with me. I needed to sign on for job seekers allowance. I explained to them I did have a job, which I had been doing, and they said that that was not suitable. I needed to sign on for job seekers allowance. The chances of me being able to get a full-time job in my condition is 0. Not only that, but even if I was capable of working Penzance, it's extremely difficult to find. And the fact that I have a job which I've been doing for 30 years, I have a small amount of that I can still do, is should be getting support from the DWP and instead they seem to be discouraging me from trying to work by not supporting what I am capable of doing. They say that they believe I'm capable of carrying an empty box across a room, but I think that job doesn't exist. I have a job which I can do at home, and it's cost effective because if I'm earning money, I'm less of a burden on the state. I've been quite proud about how my spirits have been for the whole of 2017. I mean, aware of myself that I'm certainly not getting any better, but it has been a real shock and a knockback by the government to find myself in this situation where I'm actually have been made unemployed by the Department of Work and Pensions. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Because there's no human interaction in this process at all, there's no one to talk to, no support. They talk about helping the disabled back to work. I thought that would be the case, but in actual fact it's just an empty slogan. There is no helping anyone back to work from my point of view, because I've spoken to no one and no one's spoken to me, and I've just been allowed to get on with it on my own, to the point that they're now sort of saying stop doing the work that you can do and start looking for a full-time job, which doesn't exist. So completely illogical.